Now, I've talked a lot about this framework, but now, just to get relief from that, we'll do some activity. So what I'll do now is, I'll show you two courses. So one course is designed by teacher A, another course is designed by teacher B. And I'll show this course on one learning management system, which is known as Canvas. So I'll tell you what Canvas is and how to use that. And what I'll do is, I'll show you a 1 week content of each course. What I'll do is, I'll show you two courses, one course by teacher A, one course by teacher B, and I'll show you 1 week content of each course. But now what you have to do is, you have to evaluate different aspects of both the courses. That courses will have different things and you have to evaluate them. What is there, what particular thing the teacher is doing. Okay, you have to evaluate those aspects. So what is working, what will work, what will not work, which is good, which is bad. Okay. And then to do that, I'll walk you through the different aspects of each course. I'll show teacher A course what it contains, teacher B course what it contains. And then you have to decide which course has a good design of online learning, either teacher A's course or teacher B's course. So let's start with that activity. Yeah, so here you see there are two things. So this is the Canvas learning management system. There are different features of this system. For example, what you can do with this system is you can create announcements, you can create assignments, you can create discussion forums, you can grade students, and many other features are there. Okay, so you can explore these features on your own later. But now I'll show you what exactly the course looked like. So this is the teacher view. Now I'll give you student view. Okay, yeah. Now what is there? So this is the week 2 of this particular course. The course is of fluid mechanics. And now what you can see here is the teacher has uploaded some content. So there is video lecture 1 on viscosity, video lecture 2, Newton's law of viscosity, video lecture 3. He also uploaded some additional materials, additional resources for students. And at the end of all these things, he conducted one quiz. Okay. So I'll give you one just example of how it looks like. So for example, this is my own video. So you see, this is a 14 minutes video. The duration is 14 minutes. And now, student will go through the whole content of this particular lecture, and then
Pankaj, sorry to interrupt.
Student may watch second lecture, third lecture.
Pankaj,
He may
this
go
is
through the
Kapil.
additional material. For example, here is some additional material link. So he will get redirected to something like this. So some other presentation or some additional material the teacher has provided. Okay. Now, let's say a quiz will go into. So the quiz is of 20 points, it means 20 marks. So here the student can put the quiz. Okay. There are around 10 questions involved in this. Okay. So what you have to do now is, so you take some time. I've showed you this. So I'll give you around 3 to 4 minutes. Think about all these different contents and write it in your notebook or somewhere, right? And just keep that with yourself. So evaluate different aspects of this particular design of week 2 course. Now we will move towards the teacher B's course. Okay. So I'll leave the student view now and I'll go to teacher B. Okay. So this is the course designed by teacher B, the same course and the same week of content he designed. Now I'll show you the student view. Okay. Yeah. Now, if you see here, on this right side, if you see, there are different announcements. For example, here is an announcement that week 2 is starting. So here the teacher has said that he can start accessing the content and he has given some instruction. So how to do work on this particular week content. Okay. This instruction is given by the teacher through announcement. Along with that, he said that maybe after going through this content on 1st May, I'll take one live session where we can discuss the student questions, queries, and all other things. Okay? So this is the second announcement that teacher made. Now, along with that, if you see the content now, so how he has organized the content. So the first thing is there is a video lecture. Then there is something called as muddy points. I'll tell you what muddy points is. So basically muddy points are what? So this is nothing but a forum where all students can post their questions or answers. If they have some doubts, some confusion, some difficulty if they have, they can post their questions. They can answer other students' questions also. Then teacher is saying that he'll check this forum every day. So if there are some student questions, he'll try to answer the questions posted by students every day. Okay. Now, after that, what you can see is video lecture one student will go through. Then if they have some doubts, they can post it here. Then there is some short quiz. After this, video lecture 2, then what he has done is he has demonstrated one numerical. Then again there is muddy points thing. Then he has given some practice problems to students. They have to solve that and they have to submit it to the teacher later. Now I'll show you one lecture. So we have seen the previous course lecture, right? Okay. Same video is there. Now I'll show you what happens here. So he starts the lecture and then he goes through the content. Okay. Now what you can see here is these are different pauses. Okay. So what these pauses do is, so it may ask questions to students. Some questions. So now you see here is what will happen. So at this point of time, the video got stopped and some question appeared. So here I was discussing about what is the difference between viscosity and friction. So to make sure whether students have understood that or not, I'm asking the question, what is the difference between friction and viscosity? So he may write something, okay, this is the difference, and then he'll submit. Okay. So once he submit that question, the answer to this particular question, he then can click on continue. Once he clicks on continue, the video will go ahead in a similar way. Okay. So there are different, 3 different types of questions I have kept here. So like here now I have a multiple choice question. Okay. So my student may give some answer here, and then once he submits the answer, he can continue watching the video. He answered that, but now I'm asking him to justify his answer. It's not just whether it's correct or wrong. He also has to justify that answer. So how it will help me as a teacher? So there are 2 things. So by keeping such pause points, I'm letting them to take a breath. So it's not like they are watching 14 minutes of video at a stretch. They have watched some 2 minutes of video, then some question popped up. They thought of that question. Okay, what is the answer? Then they wrote something. Then again they started watching the content. So again, some other question popped up after 4 or 5 minutes, right? And when I ask them to answer the multiple choice question, along with that, I'm asking them to justify the answer too. So it means that here the teacher is trying to understand whether students have really understood it or not, whether he was able to make sense out of that. Okay? That justification will help teacher to assess students. In this type of video, you can create with one tool, which is known as Edpuzzle. So I'll show you just what exactly the interface looks like. So this is some.com. So if you go here, you can add content. So you can give some YouTube links or some other links here. You can add your own video also if you have some video with yourself. Like this video I have uploaded. Then after adding content, like you see here, these questions or notes I have. So you can edit and put different questions in the video. So this particular type of tool is known as Edpuzzle. So basically this type of pause and asking students to answer something, they are known as reflection spots. So basically what reflection spots do is, so reflection spots help students to reflect upon whatever they have just learned. Reflection spots can be of different types. So it can be a recall type of thing. So like, what is the difference between friction and viscosity? It's a recall type of thing, or maybe understand type of thing.
5 o'clock.
But when I asked the MCQ and after that I asked them to justify answer, it means that I'm asking them to go more deeper as compared to just answering yes or no. Okay, fine. Now I'll show you how you can upload practice problems for students. So yesterday only I created this, okay, and I was not able to upload PDF here. So then what is the solution? So I click picture of the numericals from my book and I uploaded it on Drive, and then I gave link here. So now students can go through this link and they can see what is the list of problem, and then they can solve particular problems that is asked to them, and they have to submit here also. So they can solve it on paper. So what I'm asking is solve problems on paper, then take a picture of it with your mobile and submit here. They'll submit it here. Okay. So as now this way I can conduct assessment of student. Okay. So now I'll show you one specific activity I did. So maybe I would like you to watch this entire video. It's of 3 minutes, but maybe it's worth watching. Oh, sorry. Okay. So video I think is unavailable. Okay. So basically I'll tell you what the video is about. So the video, there are 4 different types of fluids. There is chocolate, there is pudding, and there is milk and some other fluids. And behind the blocks in which that fluid is kept, the glass container, behind that watermelon is kept. And a shooter is shooting the glass. Now the student has to predict whether which watermelon will sustain, which fluid will be able to stop the bullet. Okay, so this was a kind of video, it was there. And then at the end of it, they can see that pudding was able to stop the bullet. Other fluids were not able to do that. Around this particular video, I created an activity. So this activity is something like, okay, so we want to know more about why it happened. So I triggered an event, their thinking process, showing that something happened. Then now see why it had happened. So I am asking them to go into deeper level of that. I'm asking them to do something like search it in textbook or internet, then write down, identify what all different fluids are there, write down their characteristics, what is the differences between the different types of fluid, list their examples, and post their work on demystifying fluids here. After posting that, I'm asking them to comment on their friend's work. So it's not only you posted your solution, but you also have to comment on your friend's solution or their work, give them suggestions and ideas to improve the work. And then at the end of that, teacher make a summarizing discussion, like what all students have submitted, and then what is the outcome of this particular activity. Okay, so maybe I'll stop here, and yeah, and there is assimilation quiz at the end of it. So there are some short quizzes, some assimilation quiz at the end of it. Now I'll again give you maybe 4-5 minutes here to think and write about what all different aspects are involved here. So if you want to see a particular aspect, you can just unmute your mic and tell me that I want to see this. So just to remind you about what you have to do. So this I'll show the activity again. So 1 week content I showed you. Now teacher A I showed already. Teacher B's course I showed. You have to evaluate different aspects of both the courses, and then you have to decide which course has a good design. But you have to make some points also. So write your own points why you think something is good, something is wrong.